And I have the privilege of serving as the president of the Board of Trustees of the DC Public Library. I'm joined here today by several of my colleagues on the board, Vice President Karma Kottman, as well as the co-chairs of our MLK Task Force, who've met once or twice a week for 6 weeks to hammer out every single nook and cranny of this building. They have been Herculean in their efforts and results, more importantly. Antonio Williams and Monty Monash. Other dedicated members here today are Victor Reynoso, Brian Williams, and Chanel Anthony. Welcome. We had originally planned a grand ribbon cutting as this occasion warranted, and COVID might suppress the audience here today, but after all, we are residents of DC, so if nothing else, we are resilient and we are innovative. So we are DC, as Mayor Bowser has said before. So we're having a virtual celebration, and we're delighted to welcome Washingtonians from all 8 wards to celebrate by watching with us online. We have much on our minds as a nation and a city. It makes it more important to pause today, reflect, and be joyous when we can on occasions like this. I'm joined here on stage in a socially distant but connected at the heart manner with a number of people, including our mayor, the Honorable Muriel Bowser, and a number of leaders from the City Council. But I want to talk a bit about her. She has supported this project with her heart and her spirit and her leadership. And she often poses a question that I'm delighted to answer definitively today. On time and on budget.
Thank you.
The council has been a great partner of this project as well from the start, offering funding, as well as advice and assistance and support. We're honored to have Council Chairman Phil Mendelson, at-large Council Member David Grosso, as well as Ward 2 Brooke Pinto. We are indeed in Ward 2 Council Member Brooke Pinto. We're also here today with our library's Executive Director, Richard Reyes-Gavilan. Rich is focused on this moment like a laser since he arrived in Washington, D.C. more than 6 years ago. This building and Rich are basically identical twins now. Every single element of this building has a feature or a mark that is his inspiration. So out of respect to the original architect, we will still refer to this as a Mies van der Rohe building, but we insiders will forever call this a Rich Reyes-Gavilan building. So Rich, congratulations and thank you. I'm often asked about how long did this project take? When did you start? Well, you could say about 5 years ago when we actually swung the first sledgehammer here, or a little bit before that when MLK shut down, or 7 years ago when the trustees voted to proceed with building the project on site. But I would say started about 91 years ago when a little baby was born in Atlanta, Georgia. And God had a vision to inspire Martin Luther King to change the course of history and inspire others towards social justice, harmony, education, and peace, and reminding society of its responsibility to provide everyone with an equitable change of fulfilling their dreams and finding joy. The people who had a vision for our library system and this building were inspired by Dr. King. His name and image adorned the building because it was born out of his vision of a country with cities like ours that never cease the quest for equal opportunity. For all of us, this building is a major asset, a powerful tool to go on and continue Dr. King's work. Indeed, our city is a special place capable of extraordinary things. About 14 years ago, this city sought to revitalize its public library system from top to bottom, all 25 branches, the downtown flagship, all programs, customer engagement, everything. Today, 20 of our branches are brand new or fully modernized beacons of community expression with world-class programming and staff, and the other 5 are either under construction or soon to be. Martin Luther King is done. I would humbly say that any other city, or actually more appropriately, any other state, would take a generation to accomplish what we have in just a decade and a half. So what were the ingredients? All the right people in the right places. Residents who love and use libraries and demand more, elected leaders who listen, made libraries a priority and funded us, and our staff, who is truly world-class and who become value members of the communities they serve. So to our residents, thank you for inspiring us. To our elected leaders, thank you for funding us. And to our staff, thanking you for making us look good every single day. When you come through the doors of this magnificent building, you will undoubtedly again be inspired by Dr. King. Our hope is that one of the boys or girls we serve is inspired by what we provide them in this building and throughout our system to have a lifetime of service and patriotism. Perhaps someone like Dr. King, or another John Lewis, or another Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's our hope. We hope they find their story. Now, I have the great pleasure in celebrating this much-awaited transformation with the reopening of the iconic library. We're ushering in a new era of joy, discovery, and possibility for our beloved city, and with that, ushering in a new era for our brand, our look. So that means the famous L is gone. We now have a new logo. The refreshed brand was inspired by a belief that DC's history, culture, and spirit and values, and most importantly, our deep belief in its possibility and potential. It conveys the most cherished belief. We believe in the infinite potential of our city and the residents who shape it. So we're going to look at the new logo right now. Our brand is symbolized by the rising trapezoid symbol, an abstract interpretation of the stairs in so many of our branches that rise upward, pointing to new and different stones and to new and different and limitless possibilities. Our central idea of a brand story is that you are welcome into our libraries to explore your inner potential. Our tagline is "Find Your Story," a literal invitation to come into our spaces, but also a figurative invitation to explore where your personal story can go. We want to take you there. So in terms of personal stories, one of our inspirations is the lady who's going to introduce the mayor, who's with us on stage today. She is Toni Jackson, a member of the DC Public Library Teen Council. Toni is a junior at the School Without Walls, who lives in Ward 7 in the Bedding Road area. Besides working on the Teen Council and as a teen aide at the Georgetown Library, good choice, she is an editor at the school newspaper, plays in the band, and interns at a nonprofit, Learn Serve. Welcome, and please come up to the podium.
Hi, my name is Toni Jackson, and I'm a junior at School Without Walls High School. I've been a part of the DC Public Library's Teen Council since 2019 with the Georgetown Neighborhood Library. The Teen Council assists in multiple libraries across the district, and we all work together to create programs and services relevant to district teens, including writing articles for our blog, The Teens Corner. I and other members of the council are very excited to see the reopening of MLK. This reopening means not only the reemergence of a historic library, but also more accessible resources for teens nearby. Martin Luther King once said, "It seems to me that education has a twofold function to perform in the life of man and in society. The one is utility and the other is culture." Education must enable a man to become more efficient, to achieve with increasing facility the legitimate goals of his life. MLK Library and others like it continue to contribute to and preserve DC history, culture, and aid everyone in the district. It is now my honor to introduce the mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser.
Let's give a big hand to Toni. It's so wonderful to see our students' smiling faces in person, and we are grateful to Toni for being here with us. I want to acknowledge my colleagues, Council Chairman Phil Mendelson, Council at-large member David Grasso, and Ward 2 Council member Brooke Pinto. So please give them a round of applause. And I think Phil and David and I remember when we were new council members and we got to deliver a big project and could take a bow. So congratulations, Brooke, on delivering this for Ward 2. Let me take a special moment to thank all of our staff, from the front desk to book delivery, to acquisition and planning, to construction, to security, and to all of the people that welcome us and open up this beautiful library and library system to us each and every day. Please give a hand to the staff of the DC Public Libraries. Gregory, I want to acknowledge you for your steadfast leadership. I think you've been the chair of the board for my entire time as mayor. I want to thank all of the members of the board for your leadership, for being there to support this wonderful staff as well. And I, too, want to say thank you to Rich Reyes-Gavlin for a wonderful vision, for flawless execution, and for continuing the legacy of proud leadership of DC Public Libraries. Please give Rich a big round of applause. So I am very glad that we're together this morning. We have had some difficult days in our city and in our nation, and certainly yesterday was one of those days. We are reminded as we stand in the shadow of this beautiful portrait of Martin Luther King's life that his leadership called for nonviolence. And part of what he said in his last days was that we need to keep the focus where it needs to be, and that's on the issue of injustice. So sometimes the conversation feels exactly the same as it did when Dr. King said it all those years ago. King warned against us creating distractions. There is a tremendous amount of pain in our nation right now. Yesterday, Black Americans felt that pain sharply. Too many people feel like their lives, in the eyes of the nation and under our laws, don't matter, that they aren't worth anything. And while 52 years or 4 centuries, however you want to measure the fight for freedom and equality, is a long time to keep our focus on injustice. But that is exactly what we must do and will do. Today, with this iconic library, we celebrate a man whose legacy helps us keep pushing forward. And it is a symbol that we must keep pushing forward. And then in the walls of this building, there's certainly great works. There will be great art. There will be great gatherings, collections of thinkers who collectively and individually will advance the call of freedom that Martin Luther King stood for and died for. And it will be a reminder to all of us to stand in our space and do the things that we are called to do to make our nation more fair, more just, and more free. So I want to wish congratulations to Richard and Gregory and everyone who played a role in renovating the Martin Luther King Memorial Library. It represents for us as a city that we believe in free thinking, we believe in the power of thought, and we believe that our little bit of tax dollars, big bit of tax dollars, that went into the renovation of this marvelous building will stand for generations to come as a symbol of our DC values. So I always look forward to ribbon cuttings, and know this one is different. And even the opening will be different, and the services for a bit will be different. This building represents so well our DC values. Congratulations. Am I next? Do I get to introduce my friend Phil? Well, let me do that. And it's no secret to anyone that the council is a steadfast supporter of the DC Public Libraries. And in the time that we've been governing for the last many years, we've been able to make significant investments in the library. So we acknowledge and thank Mayor Tony Williams for his vision that Gregory referred to, and we thank all the members of the council, present and past, who have supported our ability to invest in the libraries. Council Chairman Phil Mendelson.
All these things I have to put on and take off. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you for the introduction, Mayor, and I really appreciated your remarks with regard to justice and how a public library system can relate to our struggle to improve justice and social justice in our country. I want to again acknowledge my colleagues who are here, David Grasso, who chairs the Committee on Education, which has oversight over the libraries, and Councilmember Brooke Pinto, who is the new representative from Ward 2, in which this library is located. And I also want to thank Gregory McCarthy, who has been a very active, assertive, chair of the Board of Library Trustees, and that's a good thing, has really made sure that the council doesn't forget the needs of the library. And I want to thank Richard Reyes-Gavilan for his work and his leadership for the library. You know, libraries are oftentimes, I want to say, not adequately understood as a very important service that government offers to its citizens. In fact, in the video that I had recorded, because I didn't think I was going to be making remarks today, because I didn't think there was actually going to be a ribbon cutting or an opening, I had concluded my video with this quote, which is a famous inscription from a library, that libraries are a house of healing for the soul. Because in so many ways, the library, what it offers to its citizens is so much, and it is an important service. There was a reference to, and it's kind of ironic, we're full circle here with Gregory. Gregory was the government liaison for Mayor Williams when Mayor Williams had that vision that we needed to have a world-class library, public library, and main library for a world-class city. And it's taken a few years, but that was quite a vision, and here we are with a building that is very impressive. So I want to thank Tony Williams for his putting libraries more important on the list of priorities for cities. I've often thought of public libraries as being an alternative form of recreation. We spend a lot of time talking about how we need to provide more recreational opportunities for our citizens and for our youth. What are we doing with this rec center, that rec center, swimming pools, and so forth? But libraries are an important form of recreation as well, a place where the youth can go, and but also where adults can go. And with this library, there are going to be so many more services, which I don't think I'm going to get into, other than that I still haven't figured out why this is going to be a library for hardware toolkits, but I think that sounds cool. So let me just conclude by going back to what the mayor touched on, which is that, you know, when we offer opportunities for individuals to improve their mind and to learn new things and to better understand the so many competing ideas, we do a service, and we also make it more possible for us as a society to come closer to being truly just, which is what this library, which is our local memorial to Martin Luther King, is intended to do. Thank you so much. And I think I'm going to now introduce my colleague, David Grasso. I mentioned before he chairs the Committee on Education, which has oversight over the libraries, and libraries have been one of those assets of our government that David has fought for and made sure is adequately resourced. David?
Well, good morning, everyone. You know, I don't have a lot of comments to make. I think it's important to recognize, as my colleagues have, as the mayor has, the gratitude that we have to so many people that have put their energy and effort into making this possible, not just this amazing central library, but all of our neighborhood libraries as well. As Gregory McCarthy noted, we're well on our way to having full modernization of every single library in the District of Columbia, as well as adding a couple of new ones, which are important in communities that didn't have them before. The mayor has been a steadfast supporter of libraries for as long as she's been on the council, and as the mayor, and even before that, I know. And so, thank you, Mayor Bowser. Thank you for pushing this money forward, making it happen sooner. You all know I'm not running for re-election, and so it's great to get this done while I was still on the council so I could celebrate it. My Gregory's still on the board, which is amazing and awesome. I want to thank a few other people. We've mentioned Rich Reyes-Gavilan. He really spearheaded this effort along with his team, the Board of Library Trustees, and the Library Foundation. And then there's just one more group before I introduce Councilmember Pinto. The people of the District of Columbia, the residents of this great city, the friends of the libraries, the taxpayers. This is a city where we not only believe in building arenas and baseball stadiums and things of that nature, but we also believe in the humanities, and we believe in building libraries and investing our public dollars in these efforts. And I think that tells you something. It basically says very simply that people in this city care about our history, they care about our future, and they care about learning, which I think is evident by all of the commitment we have in modernizing our schools and modernizing our libraries. This building, as the chairman already noted, is going to embrace all of those elements. We're going to have maker spaces, reading rooms, a slide. We have the amazing computer rooms. We have meeting spaces for people. And most exciting for me is there is going to be a local history focus. We're going to have an exhibit on go-go, on punk rock, and we're going to have an oral history place where you can record your stories, where you can listen to other people's stories and continue to embrace our history. Because I believe with all of my heart that we will continue to have and make the same mistakes that we have done in the past if we don't understand our past, record our histories today so that in the future we can have justice. So in the future we can make change. And this is what this is all about. The District of Columbia has embraced this. We believe in it. And I think we can be very proud of where we are. I will now introduce Councilmember Pinto, who I have just recently gotten to know, but who is, I think, stepping up to the plate and doing an amazing job in Ward 2. The great library here, as well as Georgetown, I believe Shaw might even enter into Ward 2, I'm sorry? The West End Library, don't forget the mixed-use West End Library, are all in your bailiwick, all in your jurisdiction. And so I hope that as you move forward, you'll continue to see the value of investing in libraries. I know you will see the value of keeping them maintained, because that is important, and supporting all of our workers in the libraries. Councilmember Pinto.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Grasso and Chairman Mendelson, for your leadership here. As Mayor Bowser mentioned, I was recently sworn in to the council, so I am the beneficiary of all of the hard work that has gone into this renovation, and I'm so proud to be a part of it as we celebrate all of the hard work that has gone into this. I used to be a frequent visitor of this library before the renovations began, both to study, to register folks to vote, and to engage in outreach to our neighbors experiencing homelessness. And so it's particularly moving for me to be here and see the new spaces and how far we have come and how increased our ability to engage with our neighbors will be in this new space. I had the opportunity a few weeks ago to have a tour of this wonderful new building with Richard Ray's Gavilan, and I am so amazed at the level of detail and innovative thinking that has gone into every corner of this space, from the protest tiles out front to the podcast station to the device lending section. There are so many wonderful spaces here for adult learning, children's spaces, and a slide, as Councilmember Grosso mentioned. And so I am so grateful for all of the hard work that has gone in. I know on behalf of Ward 2 residents and residents around the city, this will continue to be a space where people gather, learn, and visit with one another. And all the better to do so in the memory of Martin Luther King Jr. I think has been mentioned, this import for continued pursuit of justice. And I hope that when folks visit the library in honor of Martin Luther King Jr., they will be reminded to remember those areas that we have not made much progress in the last 50 years and continue their pursuit. So thank you for having me. Thank you for all this hard work. And it is now my pleasure to introduce the Executive Director of the DC Public Libraries, Richard Ray's Gavilan.
Thank you, Councilmember Pinto. We couldn't have done it without you, I'll say. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to try to keep it together here. In the summer of 2013, I was living and working quite happily in my hometown of Brooklyn, New York. Late that June, I flew to Chicago for a library conference and participated in a meet and greet with several members of the DC Public Library Board of Trustees, one of whom was our current board president, Gregory McCarthy. The trustees were in the initial stages of recruitment for a new library director for the district, and I was one of the many individuals who they were meeting informally to talk about the future of libraries and what they could be looking for in a new director. It was a great conversation, and I was happy to meet these dedicated individuals, including John Hill and Bonnie Cohen, who were clearly passionate about the future of the library system in the district. When I arrived back home to New York, I told my wife, who is an architect, about the meeting, and I told her that they're looking for someone to oversee the renovation of a Mies van der Rohe Central Library. I hadn't even considered applying for the job yet, but I think at that point we both knew we were moving to Washington, D.C. A month or two after I arrived in early 2014, I wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post, sharing a little bit about myself and my initial thoughts on what we would hope to accomplish with the Martin Luther King Library modernization. I said the following: we recognize today that the focus of excellent library design should be to delight users, not to warehouse objects. This simple guiding principle creates boundless opportunities for architects and librarians to create inspirational centers of learning. In addition to providing shelves of books, libraries today must, at a minimum, provide those catalysts of curiosity that engage the mind and uplift the spirit. Natural light, ubiquitous but largely invisible technology, and a variety of spaces flexibly designed for independent study or collaboration. And friends, I think we've done it. 2 weeks ago, I quietly celebrated my 25th anniversary as a working librarian, and this project has, without question, been the most fulfilling professional experience of my life. I look forward to not only what we're doing today, but also to the day very soon when we can fully and completely open this building to our patient but so deserving residents. I will close my remarks with just a few additional acknowledgments. As has been said before, so many individuals have had a hand in what we are doing today. And so very quickly, of course, Mayor Bowser, thank you profusely for accelerating the funding, one of your first acts as mayor in the city, and all your support. My friends on the council, you as well have been wonderful Gregory, the board, former board members, our existing board, we work so well collaboratively, all towards a common goal. The DC Public Library Foundation has really been stepping up and helping to fund so many of the things that will activate this new building for us. So thank you, Rob Hartman, Marquette, and Rushi, and others. Smoot-Gilbane Joint Venture, thank you for building our building. You guys have done a tremendous job. OTJ Architects, the architect of record, and in particular, our friend Tom Johnson, who was our lead historic preservation architect who passed away suddenly 3 summers ago in 2017. Mekanu, our design architect. I know you're all following, it's probably dinner time in Amsterdam and Delft, but Francine, you're a visionary, and it was so wonderful to work with you and Luke and Sebastian and the whole team. Jair Lynch Development Partners, the owner's representative, who really translated all the work into language that I can understand and my colleagues in the library can understand. And thank you for your ongoing work here. The Federation of Friends of the DC Public Library, so much outreach that took place in 2014 and 15. We couldn't have reached as many residents without your help. Our regulatory bodies, you know, this building was landmarked in 2007, and it is part of the historic central core of Washington, D.C., so organizations like the National Capital Planning Commission, the State Historic Preservation Office, the Commission of Fine Arts, all played very, very important roles in allowing us to modernize this building respectfully without losing sight of the fact that it is Mies van der Rohe's only building in Washington, D.C., and his only built library in the entire world. Zenobia Bailey, who is our grand reading room artist, I am just in awe of that piece that will welcome readers to the 3rd floor. Nikisha Durrett, who is our vestibule artist and still, I think, a working teacher at Duke Ellington High School. The Friends of Alma Thomas for your donation of 13 Alma Thomas paintings to the DC Public Library. Thank you so very much. The MLK Library Advisory Panel and the MLK Library Awareness Committee, our neighbors who have been working with us for almost 6 years or longer, making sure we got everything right. The residents, of course, and that's been said before, of the district, we have had, I think one day we counted, and it was probably 100 or more community meetings in all 8 wards of the city, talking to people about what they wanted from their new central library. And frankly, I just extremely personally, the staff of the DC Public Library, there are too many of you to name individually, but thank you for letting me take credit for all of your hard work. You guys are an inspiration, and I hope that I got out of the way enough to let you do what you needed to do, but thank you for everything that you're doing. And I think that's it. So thank you for indulging me. Next on our agenda, I want to share a very special recorded message from Martin Luther King III, who unfortunately could not be here in person today.
Hello, I'm Martin Luther King III, and I want to take this opportunity to extend my warmest greetings to everyone participating in the virtual opening ceremony for the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library in Washington, D.C. I congratulate Mayor Muriel Bowser and the District of Columbia City Council for your leadership in completing this wonderful project. My congratulations also to the M.L. King Library's management and staff, the architects, and all of the library's supporters and donors who have helped to make this beautiful renovation a reality. Over the years, I've taken part in many ceremonies dedicating buildings and other facilities named after my father, Martin Luther King Jr. But the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library is special because it has served as such a vibrant center for learning and building community in the heart of our nation's capital. It is my hope that this Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library will also become a gathering place for interracial friendships and unity for the people of the District of Columbia, and for bridge building between diverse communities. Let this library become a force for brotherhood and sisterhood. Let it become a matrix for a community of caring and compassion for each other and all who pass through here. With your continued support, the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library will help to promote the values of love and nonviolence and the principles of justice and equality for people of all races, religions, and cultures in this great international city. And with God's blessings, may it serve as a vibrant reminder of our commitment to fulfill his great dream for America and the world. Thank you, and may God bless you always.